Tuesday edition of the SportsCage. Thank you for making time and tuning in, however you are tuning in, whether it is on 620 CKRM, any of the audio streams, and of course you can watch YouTube style through sportscage.com. Like the big voice said, it's for Saskatchewan Lottery's main fundraiser for sport, culture, and recreation in Saskatchewan. We got 3 hours for you. I'll run it down. We're going to talk about the WHL playoff chase. And if you're a hockey fan in Moose Jaw or Regina or a fan of those teams, can't ask for anything more right now. Stan Bowman from the Edmonton Oilers had a presser yesterday. They made the trade. I thought, listening to Stan Bowman, they asked him a question and he talked for about 3 minutes, which in a press conference is a long time, and it sounds like he's wanted to say what he said for a while. So we're going to hear from that in a bit. The Brier continues in St. John's, Newfoundland, which looks like an awesome place to visit, by the way. They're doing a good job marketing that place. We are going to talk about the Brier. We're going to talk about why it's taken so long for Saskatchewan to win a Brier. We curl here a lot. We have a lot of good curlers that have come through here. And I know it's the old joke and it's Rick Folk and the Corn Brooms in 1980, but why? It makes no sense. We're going to want to hear from you. Always want your participation on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, 936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street. You get to deal with the owner. More coming up. My co-host wants to talk about neck guards in hockey and guardian caps in hockey and football. I think it's a great topic, so we'll touch on that. PumpJacks Cathedral Trivia, it's coming at you in hour 1 today. Changing it up, it's going to be based around curling. So if you know curling and you know the gentleman that won Saskatchewan's last Brier, you're going to want to call in, $50 on the line, to PumpJacks Cathedral. I got to tell you, I was there on Friday with some clients. Oh, mama. The ribs are good, but those chicken fingers, something else right there. Hour 2, Arash Madani comes in. We'll get some more on the text line. Glen Suitor in hour 3. Glenn and I today, well, more Glenn, he's going to break down the coaching rooms in the CFL. We'll start with the West Division today. He's going to go through. He's going to grade them. He's going to let us know what he thinks on the coaching rooms in the CFL West. And then we are going to hear from one of the local athletes that is going to compete in the CFL Invitational Combine, which starts Friday in Waterloo. That's pretty much the show in a nutshell there. Joining me on Tuesday again, lucky enough to have him, former sports director with CTV in Regina, Don Hewitt. Don, how was the day? Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have the lab mic on you. It's not like the old TV days. You got to pull that thing close to yourself. You've been watching a lot of the Brier. We're going to get to that in a bit, but I want to talk about the WHL and the playoffs. And when we sat here in September and October and we talked about the WHL and the Regina Pats and they were sliding, and you go to Pats games and you hear the people in the crowd going, "Oh, fire hair off. Get rid of them. What's going on?" It's like, do you understand the ages of these kids that are on the ice playing against teams like Medicine Hat, PA, Edmonton.
And the Hat tonight, by the way.
Edmonton came in, looked big. Calgary was... I watched them play Calgary, and they squeaked out an overtime win early in the year, and it was like parents versus kids game at Christmas that you'd have with your Pee-wee hockey team. It was like Calgary was big, strong, but somehow they found a way to win. Now, you mention it, Medicine Hat comes in tonight. The Pats are rolling. The Pats are in a playoff spot. They're not in the 8th spot.
Yeah.
They are sitting in 7. They are 5 points up on the 8th with the Red Deer in 8, and then Moose Jaw trails them by 1 point. They're in 7. What they've done, past 10, they're 5-5, but they are on a bit of a mini heater there for a while as well. If you're a hockey fan, even if you're the jaded fan that I was talking about earlier in the year, you got to be impressed.
I'm impressed with Dale Derkach because he said several months ago this team's going to make the playoffs. In fact, he said that 4 months ago, 3-4 months ago. And you sort of thought, really? Well, I don't know. He's called it because the Regina Pats are going to make the playoffs. From what I saw the other night when they played Saskatoon, a good friend of the SportsCage, Rob Vanston, and I attended that broadcast.
Oh, did you guys go?
Broadcast.
Did you guys go straight from Ohans to the game?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, did we?
No, because I know you guys are going for...
No, that was the few nights
You guys just been spending lots of time together. Are you guys getting a suite together? Because we talked about that last Tuesday. You lived with Dave Ash.
Suite,
or
yeah.
He lived with Dave Ash.
No, I did.
You lived with Dave Ash. The
I don't
Montessori.
know if we get a suite together. I think that's very unlikely. But anyway, I thought the Pats played one of their best games all season against Saskatoon. The first period a little shaky, good goaltending for Regina, but after that they took it to the Blades. And Maddox Schultz, 3 points, first star of the game. He's starting to come on. He's getting more comfortable, Barney, at the Western Hockey League level. Mm-hmm. He was showing what we're really going to see next year. Some real brilliance with the puck, some unbelievably quick decisions, uncanny brain, hockey brain he's got. Yeah, sort of like Bedard in certain respects. He'll make a pass out of nowhere, and the guy will get it on the stick, and he's surprised it's on his stick.
Yeah.
He didn't see it coming, his own teammates, in some respects, like Bedard did. But I give Derkach credit. He thought they could do it, and I see no reason that they're not going to be in the playoffs right now. And it could be a precursor to a playoff series tonight with Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat's still chasing Prince Albert, and they could be 2-7.
936-6262. If you've gone to a Pats game in the last little while, heck, if you've gone to a Moose Jaw Warriors game, it doesn't matter. I want your eyeball test on this because what I'm hearing, I'm going tonight. My daughter loves going to Regina Pats games. She loves and she actually watches. I've heard
she actually watches.
They are playing their compete level. And I know it sounds cliche, somewhat cheesy. It's like, oh, the compete level. But you look at Maddox Schultz, and a lot of people do get this, but some don't. He isn't even 16. He has been playing as a 15-year-old. That is extremely difficult. And playing, sure, but his compete level as a 15, you saw it with your eyes. He's hitting guys. He's winning battles in the corner. They're a young team to begin with. They got some really good leaders. Like McNutt, I like that kid. Mm-hmm. That's a character kid. That kid in 10 years from now, if he's a pilot or if he's running some sort, because he's got his aviation license or close to, they got some really good leaders. But they're young guys, Don, are competing, which is so hard at that level as you get into later in the season too, where you're basically playing playoff hockey against other teams that are playing playoff hockey.
Well, Maddox Schultz is so strong on his skates for 15 playing at that level of hockey. He's just rock solid. They'll try to hit him, and he's sturdy, probably sturdier than Bedard, although Bedard I think was harder to hit. But they looked a little more confident now than they did maybe a couple of months ago, I would say, Barney. Something has improved, and one thing that definitely I think might have turned the table is they said goodbye to a couple of players that they didn't think were fitting in with the team. And since then, they've come together. So Dale Derkach seems to have a pretty good feel for what's going on in the dressing room and made some changes that way with a few people shipped out. And they're looking good. Now, Medicine Hat's the highest scoring team in the Western Hockey League. Mm-hmm. They're going to roll in here firing on all cylinders. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the Western Hockey League right now the way they're playing. They're hotter than a firecracker. They might even give, not much time left, but they might, make it interesting to see if they can catch Prince Albert for first yet, but I don't know if I necessarily expect a win tonight, but I expect if you want to see some very fast, good hockey, show up tonight for sure to the Brent Center.
2008-born defenseman Jet Deschamps is supposed to be in the lineup for the Pats tonight. They called him up from Manitoba. He was, a couple of years ago, a lot of Regina Pat fans will remember, they interviewed him. I think it was after his Bantam draft year. The skill on this kid, what I've heard, is so smart. Hockey IQ off the charts. Smaller in stature, for sure. I am very, very, very intrigued to see him. Because you're not calling up this kid.
Wow.
And
Medicine Hat, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not calling them up late in the year playing, all right, we're playing one of the last place teams. Come on, we'll give you a few shifts, grab some sticks and some gloves and some undergear and take it back and we'll talk to you. Like, he's coming in, playing against the team that you could be the first round preview in Medicine Hat. Intriguing to watch Jet Deschamps tonight. He's supposed to be in the lineup. Now, and here's another question. DJ on the text line says Maddox Schultz is so strong for his age.
Yes.
To what you said. Mm-hmm. I will say, and then I'll let you go. What I see the difference from watching Bedard at 15, which it was kind of that bubble year, right? So it was weird. He was so offensively skilled, IQ, made plays, and his shot and release. I've never seen anything like that in a young player. Now, I watch Maddox Schultz play, and man, were people on him early in the year. It's like, well, he hasn't scored. Oh, he hasn't
15.
scored. It's like, can you understand what is going on here, people? I feel Maddox Schultz, and I've said this on the show before, his game reminds me of young Sidney Crosby. When you used to watch those Ramushki videos, and then even when he got into, right, like a 200-foot strong, low, big, like low base. You talked
core,
about,
like
just very strong. Mm-hmm. The differences that you see between a young Bedard and a young Maddox Schultz.
Well, there's more flamboyance, as you just said, Barney, to Bedard. For example, Maddox's first goal against Saskatoon the other night was a brilliant shot over the goalie's shoulder, top corner, but he just sort of flicked it. Didn't look like there was a huge amount of motion or follow through. It just, boom, like a bullet over the shoulder of the blade's tender and into the net, where Bedard's got a little bit more backswing, a little bit more follow through, and it's sort of more flamboyant. And I don't know if the shot's that much harder, but it looks so spectacular compared to sort of a more compact shot that Schultz had, which looked just as effective, really, but just not as exciting looking somehow.
Yeah, look, Bedard had that curl and drag release down pat. Now, I'll show my age as well, because having two young kids and watching things over the last, I would say, 8-9 years, they are taught, and parents out there, 936-6262, if I'm wrong here, but what I see, they have been trained now to shoot the puck totally different than when I played, when you played, when we covered it. I look over there, there's that Easton aluminum that we have here in the SportsCage studio, which is as stiff as it gets. I don't know what that is, 110 flex, and I'm not even joking. And Maddox Schultz was in here when we interviewed him, and he held that thing and tried to flex it. You can't. How these kids are taught now to shoot, I don't know if TS Shooting is listening right now, but it is, and the technology helps a lot, but it is like a pull and then they push down low, so it does flick off like that, where you can see, and the whip on the sticks, and you get these slow-mo camera shots of every level of hockey now on how it looks. But it is It's just how they are trained to shoot, and then it's shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. So everything, it's just muscle memory. Everything becomes second nature.
Much advanced.
Yeah. Oh,
not that long ago, and that's why goalies are getting bigger. The shooters are getting so good that there's so little time for reflexes to stop a puck inside the crease as a tender that you just have to hope your size at times can stop the puck because it's coming at you so fast.
Did you see the size of that goalie, speaking of that fought the Pats Tabashniak the other night, the Brandon goalie? He's like 6'7".
Oh yeah, there you go.
Nah, that's not the kid joke I'm throwing out. But like he was like supposedly 6'7". He was huge. We talk about big goalies nowadays. You come down. I remember watching Patrick Lalime at the old Northlands Coliseum NHL game, and he was so big in net, and I'm like, where would you shoot on this guy? Like, what would you do here? But they become so big, and then you got to go like Dustin Wolf though. So all small goalies out there, there's still a path for you because Dustin Wolf is 165 pounds.
The Pats tender too. The Regina Pats have a great goaltender right now. He's not
Schlenker.
Right, he's just lightning fast.
Yeah.
He's very quick. So if you ever get the combo of a big body with lightning fast reflexes, well, you're going to win a Stanley Cup. But I think I'm not trying to say earlier that just if you're big you can be a good goalie. Not necessarily, but you have to be big and fast, and they're hard to find. But if you do find a tender like that, you're going to go places because. Even the speed of passing, Barney, the play around the net is so much faster. It's incredible speed now in hockey.
Philippe Ruzicka, that's the Brandon goalie, 6'7", 230 from Trinec, Czechia.
6'7", 230.
Like Dobish in Montreal.
Is Dobish big?
Yeah, he's big.
The other thing, technique-wise, I see it across the street. One of the hardest working, probably U15 goalies in the province lives across the street. The technique that the goalies are learning these days to stop these shooters and things. If we had a time machine and could go back to 1985, knowing what we know now, if you're a goalie, heck, I could go back in 1985 and maybe have a cup of coffee in the NHL playing goal. The way they used to try and stop the puck and come out, and shots were going in from the blue line, and but they were shooting with logs, like those sticks back then. Nowadays, how they can whip that puck, the goalies have to be so good. I have no idea how their knees hold up, how their hips hold up, because they're always down in that butterfly. That just
they'll worry about that when they're 50 or 45.
Well, you play rec. You play rec still with some of the old fellas. I don't know. I got some buddies that are in their mid to late 40s still playing goal and love doing it. And I'm like, how do you do? Like I have a tough time going up and down my wing. You got to go up and down and butterfly.
Well, just. In watching the game with the Blades and the Pats the other night, it's like, if I take a look at the team that won the Memorial Cup here in Regina in 1974, because I knew a lot of the guys on the team, I played with some of them and whatnot against them just growing up in Regina. They wouldn't even last 10 seconds on the ice with players today in terms of speed. Like, it is just evolved. The game of hockey has evolved like all sports have. And we're going to talk about guardian caps and neck guards, and it's getting bigger, stronger, faster, tougher, everything.
It's scary at times.
So the more protection, the better, as far as I'm concerned, in sport.
Scary at times how quick it is. Yeah, the WHL playoffs are around the corner, and tonight it might as well be playoff hockey in Moose Jaw as they host Calgary, and then here in Regina as Medicine Hat comes to town. Now, yesterday, the Edmonton Oilers with the trade deadline, NHL trade deadline is Friday. Like I think it's 1 o'clock Regina time.
Days, yeah.
Yeah, like it has creeped up, and it's kind of been a weird year with the Olympics and then the freeze and all that. But if you, and I apologize for all the hockey hardos out there, if you would have said to me, "Who's Connor Murphy and what does he do?" I'd have been like, I don't know. Is it Charlie Murphy's brother? I have no idea.
He's been in the league quite a while. Like he's 34 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
He's no youngster.
That's how much I've watched the Chicago Blackhawks too in the last.
He's not a bad defenseman overall, I wouldn't say.
So the Oilers make that trade yesterday. They get he's a right-handed shot too, which is so key in hockey these days, especially on the back end as a defenseman. But yesterday, Stan Bowman from the Edmonton Oilers had a press conference, and he was asked one question, and Stan basically goes here for 3 minutes, breaking it down for Oiler faithful. I thought this was an interesting clip. Here it is.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Well, I guess I'll dive right in. In goals against per game, the Oilers are 26th in the NHL. So I guess the question is, what do you think the problem is? And then the follow-up leading to Friday, like, do you have to do something to address it, or do you think it's internally repairable?
Yeah, we haven't played well defensively as a team. I think it's a number of factors, all of them contributing. It's goaltending, defense, and forwards. I think the biggest challenge for our group is, we don't put ourselves in a great spot often in games, and we score a ton of goals, and I think that's great. And if you think back to the early part of our season, we weren't scoring a lot. I think so. We've swung the pendulum probably too far one way, where we're pushing to try to make things happen, and in the process of doing that, we put ourselves in really bad spots. And I think until we learn as a team to be smarter about the way we approach the games, we're going to see a lot of highs and lows, to where we look great some nights, we're scoring a lot of goals, and other nights we're giving up a ton of chances and putting our defense and our goalie in bad spots. And I think that's got to change. So that's more of a mentality shift for our group, to understand what a winning brand of hockey is. And I think we see it in spurts this year, but I don't think we see it nearly consistent enough. And especially as the season progresses and the league changes around, this time of year, heading into the stretch run, and there has to be a bigger commitment from our players, all of our players, to play a smarter hockey and not trying to make plays every shift. I think that's something that we've been guilty of, especially lately. But even going back to the games in late January, I think maybe it's having more respect for the game and the simplicity of the game sometimes. I think we want to put on a show, and we want to score goals, and I think we all love scoring goals, but there's two sides to it, and I think we haven't managed that very well as a team. So yes, there's lots of details underneath that, as far as players that need to play better, no question, both forwards, defense, and goalies. I don't think we've seen, but I think the bigger way to fix that, it's not going to be magical new players. It's going to be the approach that we take as a team, understanding that going through a whole period without getting a lot of scoring chances is okay if you don't give up a lot. And I think that's what happens in playoff hockey. And I think our team has shown the maturity to play that way when the games matter the most. I think right now we haven't been dialed in enough and committed enough to play that way, and that's what's causing us a problem most recently.
I'm also wondering.
So he kind of goes on. Like, he can how many press conferences have you been to in your world where sometimes when you interview somebody and you ask them the simplest question and they just go, it's like they've been wanting to get that off their chest for a while. Yeah, he's explaining it. It's like, we don't need to, I get everyone wants high scoring up and down the ice goals. We are giving up too many chances for our team makeup, and our goalies in the back aren't that great as far as confidence-wise, what they're doing right now. So we have to limit the chances.
Oh, exactly. And we saw Hellebuck in the Olympics.
We sure did.
Hellebuck with the Jets. I mean, it's the people in front of them in many respects over any sort of medium term. But I think that Stan Bowman wasn't just talking to the fans there and being good with the fans. He was talking to the team. And Edmonton, I think, will and can tighten up and don't count them out in the playoffs. You know, we always make that same mistake, Barney, where we talk like the regular season is going to have a direct influence on how a club plays in the playoffs, and it's always wrong. Everybody changes the way they play, and so he's just basically saying that we have to change and get ready for the playoffs. It's interesting, too, because I think he's communicating because they're feeling pressure from the fans. He wants to communicate with the fans. You take 2 years ago, Ken Holland takes the Edmonton Oilers to the Stanley Cup final, loses in Game 7, and is fired. And I thought Jeff Jackson, of course, came in as the president and fired Ken Holland. And I thought,
was he fired, or did he kind of just walk on his own? Was he okay?
He was fired. And I thought, Barney, I've never seen a guy lose in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final and get fired. But Jeff Jackson felt there was something missing to win the Stanley Cup, and that's the decision he made. He was like the interim GM for a while, and then eventually hired Stan Bowman, and they've gone nowhere since then in terms of, winning the Stanley Cup. That's the reason they fired Ken Holland. So I think the pressure is there on Jackson, but Stan Bowman's a good hockey man. He won Stanley Cups in Chicago. And think about growing up with his dad, Scotty, how much he'd learn. And if anybody knew how to win hockey in the playoffs, it was his dad, Scotty.
I know, but it's just like we talked about earlier. It's changed so much. So then part of me goes, how much do you lean on someone that won in the 70s and 60s and all that? Because the game is so different. I think another takeaway from that clip is he talks about just the simplicity of it. We're kind of getting away. I don't know, verbatim what it was, but we're getting away from the simplicity of it. And a lot of times, the Oilers, it's like we won 7-5 or 7-6 or whatever it may be. It's like, that is not sustainable. Everyone knows that. Right. You say we're not ready to write them off in the playoffs. I am. What's the date? March 3rd.
Yeah, you're writing the Oilers
And again,
off?
I'm not a fan. Colson marked it in the book, March 3rd. I'm writing them off. Yeah. If they, I don't know, if they make give me something to do, I'll take a pie in the face. If they make the Stanley Cup final again.
Okay, here's a question for you. Last year they were
lemon meringue. Oh, sorry.
Lemon meringue, that's a good choice. Last year, there it is. He's got egg on his face.
Yep.
Is there eggs in lemon meringue pie? We may find out. Now, when the Oilers were down 2-0 to the LA Kings in round 1 of the playoffs last season, Barney, did you think the Kings were going to prevail?
Yeah, because I had 7 guys in my draft done from the Los Angeles Kings, so I was laughing. I was letting everybody know how smart I was, taking all these Los Angeles Kings, and then what a collapse.
And so you don't think the Oilers could do such a thing
Absolutely
again?
not.
Okay, that's interesting.
So everyone take the Oilers is what I'm hearing.
You guys go nuts. Lotto Lawrence is coming on tomorrow, too. I can pose this question. That guy's dialed, especially as we get set for the Keniston Super Draft playoff pool, which they are going to be part of the SportsCage again. I'm taking, I can't see it. Maybe McDavid and Draisaitl, just because they touch the puck so much and they get so many points. But
you got to remember this. McDavid was devastated not to win the gold medal. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to start playing hockey again until the playoffs. He's taking a breather.
How's that guy's emotions the last 3 years? I guess he did score the game winner in the
tough losses.
The game winner in the Four Nations. So, He loses in the cup. Ugh, that first year they lost, and I was actually on board. And then last year, well, never really close. Injuries, and then losing the gold medal. Poor Connor McDavid. Roller coaster of emotion. Some texts are coming in, some on Maddox Schultz, some comments on the Oilers. We'll get to those in a moment. But when we come back, I want to know what people think out there. I want to know what Don Hewitt thinks. Why? Why hasn't Saskatchewan won at the Brier? When you really sit back and think about it, it's confusing. We'll talk some curling, we'll talk Brier, we'll talk 1980. When we come back, it's the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. All right, the Brier is continuing in St. John's, Newfoundland. Makes me want to go and visit that place. The rink looks
Great community.
The rink looks awesome. We had Brennan Jones from the Nap Foursome on Friday, and he talked about how it's all connected. The hotel, the rink, and the patch.
Oh,
and it's like, he called it the trifecta, and I'm like, you better believe it. They better start winning some games, or else they're going to be in the patch a lot over the next while. They've missed some shots. There's no doubt about it, the Nap foursome. But they did win earlier today, 8-2 over none of it.
And 98% Nap?
Today?
Yeah. In that game. He was
wow, you're putting me
way up there.
right
My
on the
wife was
spot
watching it.
here.
Said he was
98%.
outstanding. Yeah, outstanding game he had.
Yesterday.
Do better than that.
Yesterday, I saw him miss he curled in the loss to Prince Edward Island yesterday, curled 59%.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But, like I said, the joke has always gone on. Rick Folk, 1980, corn brooms. I think that was one of the last Briers actually to use corn brooms, if I read that correctly, the 1980. Labatt Brier, it took over sponsorship. Do you remember this at the Corral? I was 3, so I don't.
The Labatt Brier, I remember Labatt was before Tim Hortons, yes.
It took over from McDonald Tobacco Company
Right.
in 1980.
Because everybody used to smoke when they curled.
Why wouldn't a guy
one
or
point.
girl? 1927 was when McDonald started, and then Labatt took over, and it was at the Corral in Calgary with a new sponsor.
Historic. Correct.
Came several changes to the Brier to make it more fan-friendly, such as a ban on smoking, a baseball-type scoreboard replacing the curling club-style scoreboard, and official umpires. So people had to go. I wonder if
Guys would just argue before the umpires. They would just argue.
would they?
Oh, yeah.
While smoking.
And not only were they smoking, they'd have a few beer right before and after each game. It was different. It was different. It was sort of like a social. Now it's like professional. Back in those days, it was a social, and nobody was in physical shape. Nobody was sweeping too hard, but everybody was having maybe more fun than they do now. I don't know.
It's and it's hard to believe when you see. Yeah, it was the last time a team using corn brooms won the Brier. 1980, Rick Folk.
So maybe that's why we haven't won. If we go back to corn brooms, Saskatchewan will be back in the running.
Are they even legal anymore? Could you roll to the Brier? Because I remember when the Brier was here, and the ice was shut down, and we got to go and curl a little bit on it. Mm-hmm. And they weren't using 2 sheets because it was down near the final. It was a sponsor event thing. And that ice guy, he was like, "Do not step on that sheet or that sheet." Understandable at all. Then I'm watching today, and the guy from Quebec throws the rock. I was watching Team Canada and Quebec. Great game.
Yes. Quebec's
who won that game?
Canada.
Great game, back and forth. The Quebec guy throws the rock.
They've improved.
And then he's just all of a sudden on his knees on the ice, and I'm like, isn't that frowned upon? Like, I don't want that. But back to the 1980. And Rick Folk set a record, another record back then for curling at the Corral. And since then, nama, as my Baba would say. Bubkiss, nothing. For Saskatchewan. It's really hard to put your finger on why.
Mm-hmm. It is hard, and I mean, we have a smaller population compared to Alberta and Manitoba. Alberta and Manitoba, obviously in men's curling, are quite a bit ahead of Saskatchewan and have been for quite some time. I mean, we now are the best rink of the two Saskatchewan rinks right now in Newfoundland. The skip is from Winnipeg, joining 3 from Saskatoon. But,
Mike McEwen.
So you think about, is it population? The fact is, the Grand Slam of Curling, World Curling Tour, etc., Players Championship, there's just not enough curlers from Saskatchewan that are going full bore into those events and spending more time curling. Like the Knapp foursome. I mean, these guys have all regular jobs. They're playing out of the Highland. They'll get back. They're taking probably holidays, to go down to St. John's, Newfoundland, and there just doesn't seem to be the anybody in Saskatchewan dedicated like what you're seeing from the top rinks in men's curling that are doing it pretty much for a living. And I don't think anybody's getting wealthy, but they're making enough money to do it for a living to a certain degree.
But I find that we've had guys like that. We've had teams that have, they're basically full-time curlers, and then everything else comes secondary. Roscoe on the Prairieland Rentals text line, Sask has had very good teams in the Brier, just bad luck. At some point, 44 years
so like
of bad luck?
You were saying you do know some rinks that have spent like almost full-time curling?
Yeah, like I would have to go back and start researching now. But like how close were we here in Regina 2 years ago? Like when you think about that. McEwen.
Very close, yeah. But again, he's from Manitoba.
I know, that's the other thing too, is like if he wins, is there like an asterisk?
I don't think anybody cared at that game that there'd be an asterisk.
I don't think anyone cares.
It was so gung-ho that it was Saskatchewan, but maybe there would be a little teeny one, but nobody really cared. But it's really a hard one to try to figure. But let's just say, the gold medal winning skip is from he's from what? Sault Ste. Marie?
Brad Jacobs?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
So he's from Sault Ste. Marie. He's not from like a big city or, necessarily a curling hub. And so it's just the right particular people in terms of the men's side haven't sort of shown up in Saskatchewan or were born and raised here and are committed to it.
Manzi.
And even the younger, sorry to interrupt, Barney, but even the younger curlers that I'm seeing both at the Scotties and at the Brier are not close to sort of the top guard that's there right now.
See, then I'm clueless on this.
Gushu is going to retire.
That guy's aged well, by the way.
Oh, is he
When
ever?
I watch him on the air,
Yes.
and I'm happily married, but I'm like, that guy, I don't know what if he's doing that Doug Flutie, Frank Thomas, testosterone pills or whatever, he looks good for his age.
Yes.
In shape.
Well, they're all in shape nowadays.
Well,
most of them.
Use that
the top
loosely.
ones, but I'm just saying, will the caliber of curling stay where it's been? Not so much globally, perhaps, on a big scale like that, but just say within Canada, because there's so many economic pressures on young people. Houses cost more, kids cost more to raise. Everything, all the pressures of economics makes it harder for maybe people to be spending the time that they used to curling.
That's another reason I want your life. You just went through my whole kids cost more, house costs more, everything costs more. I'm like, when's retirement? God, I just want to be able to greet people at a golf course at a first hole.
There's other issues in retirement. It's not all peaches and cream, Barney.
Manzi on the text line brings up a good point. Colton Flash, Pat Simmons, Ben Hebert, Mark Dacey, etc. All Sask-born players to win Briers. Yes. That's
the point.
Totally get that. But Manzi, doesn't it piss you off that Saskatchewan can't win this thing? 44 years. We were so close 2 years ago with the team skipped by a guy from Manitoba, yada, yada. But we were right there, 44 years. Do you know that before that, Do you know, prior to 2024, the last team and what year it was from Sask that lost in the final?
Prior to 2024 for men's in the Brier. There was the big guy from Yorkton, wasn't it?
Wasn't he from Keralbert? Was he from Yorkton? You thinking Shimko?
Yes.
Brad Height.
Oh, right.
My record says.
Right.
Brad, which I want to say he's from around the Keralbert area.
You know, but
that was in 95. Graduated high school that year.
Would Ben Hebert have done what he did had he stayed in Saskatchewan? The answer, no. So
no, because
it's an interesting point. There's the odd guy that comes along, the odd curler, not guy, but guy curler, but he can't stay here.
Yeah, well, can't blame people for moving and work and family and all that, but I don't know. Everybody's coming at me now here on the text line with curling people and what have. Dano in Regina says more curling facilities. Regina has lost curling facilities in the past decades without any new being built. Good point, Dan.
Here's the bulletin.
Is there an ice shortage of curling? And I'm serious for all you curlers out there. I don't know that. Is there a shortage of curling ice, which a lot of cities have?
I don't think so, because the demand isn't there.
Because people aren't curling.
Right.
Since they banned smoking.
And let me say this. The Cali Curling Club and the Highland Curling Club are not swimming in money, I don't think, Barney. You know what I mean? That's sort of like, I think there were 7 curling rinks at one time. When I grew up in Regina, there were 7. It's down to 2. When I was a kid, there were 7 in Regina. And but now, you talk to the people running the Highland and the Cali, they're not knee-deep in cash, and I mean, we need younger people to start curling badly.
They make their hay renting it out for Mosaic in June. Yeah, the curling clubs, and they get all the pavilions in there.
But take a look at your own kids, Barney. Do either one of them curl? I'm guessing no. Definitely. I mean, how many people have kids curling? It's like, how do you get them to curl?
I think the parents that really like the sport, love the sport. I know my brother-in-law. I know another gentleman, he loved curling, got his kids into it, and they did it. I think, it's one of my regrets in high school. I wish I would have taken it up and played on the high school curling team. You have football, basketball, hockey, curling. Throw it in the mixer. Badminton, loved it. Talk about an underrated sport. Badminton. My kids still think they can beat me. And I'm like, let's get a couple shuttlecocks and a net and go to mom's school. But I'm worried about tearing my Achilles.
You might beat them now, but wait a few more years.
I'm worried about tearing my Achilles. That's the thing that seems to happen.
There's a trend now that it's just starting, really, that kids are starting to want to do real life things instead of in front of a screen. There's just a little bit of less social media going on, and actually wanting to get out and meet other people and do things with other people. And I hope that trend gets traction. There's just a bit of a trend that started in reading that I've done. And I mean, there's nothing better and more social than curling. It's
absolutely fun. It's like golf. Yeah. See, that's where I think golf for my guys I chum with, as my mom would say. Mm-hmm. And then our boys have now all grown up roughly same age. They got into golf because the dads golf. Yeah. And you want to eventually go golfing with your kids. My she's saying this is the year. She's going to take it up. She's 12 turning 13. I guarantee it. She will be a stick. She is going to be good in the next 2 years. She's got a natural swing, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. The boy loves it. So curling, I find, it's the same.
It's widened, hasn't it? The gap between
it's not the same. Maybe it's because
it's really widened.
Maybe it's because it's not the same, right? Like you can't just load up and go, hey, son and daughter, let's go chuck some rocks. It's not how it works, right? There's a game, there's a league, and all that. So it's different. There's something to do that. Oh, Benny on the text line, he's using first names here. That means he might be. Kids don't curl in Regina, Barney, because I got to read this because the mums set the pecking order in town, dolled up at the Cooperators Arena. So he's saying like hockey moms and, which, okay. the ice shortage thing I didn't know about, but how many small towns? Like there are people listening right now that live in a small town, and small town curling rinks and hockey rinks. Oh, the hub you want to do. There's got to be kids in these small towns that are absolutely loving it. That are
the problem is there's less people in a lot of the rural Saskatchewan.
Which we should change. I look at my property taxes sometimes. I'm like, why don't I move to Sedley?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's another issue. Is the decline of population in rural Saskatchewan tied in with our lack of success in curling? My wife used to curl at the highest curling club. There's nobody at the highest curling club, I don't think, anymore.
Well, and this is not. We talk about this on the show a lot too. The country is totally different. Like if you new Canadians, you say, "Hey, let's go curling." What? Like it's just like hockey. Flag football. Those aren't sports that are known at all by them. Like curling, they might like it. Maybe in 25 years from now, we're going to see something crazy. Because it's like, it would be like dropping me in a culture that has, where it's like, okay, now you got to play European handball. I'd be like, what? What? Hey, kids, here you go. I'm signing you up to play European handball because now we live in Lithuania. It would be different. It would be the same thing, So, declined population in rural Saskatchewan. Where our population at? Maybe there's something to that, but it's like I said, it pisses me off that Saskatchewan cannot win a Brier
situation. Yeah.
We got to go to break, Don.
Oh, okay.
I got to cut. We got to go to break. We're going to come back with the ticker and with a quick trivia. The trivia question today, 936-6262, you got to call in. How many Brier championships did Rick Folk win? 936-6262. We'll be right back. Get out there and watch some hockey if you're a fan locally in Saskatchewan today. In Regina, Medicine Hat's in town, 7 o'clock, puck drop, 6:30 pregame show right here on 620 CKRM. Other Sasky teams, Moose Jaw is home to the Calgary Hitmen. PA Raiders welcome the Red Deer Rebels. SJ Warman's in Melville. Melfort travels into LA to take on the Ice Wolves. Prairie Junior Hockey League playoffs. Fort Knox leading the best of 7 2-0 against the Cinnaboya. That one goes in Fort Knox. Pilot Butte Storm are in town to take on the Regina Capitals. Game 3 there, 7:45 at the concessionless Al Ritchie. Midget AAA boys. Battleford welcomes Moose Jaw. The Blazers are in Warman. Swifties in Estevan. And the Regina Pat Canadians play Game 2 in Saskatoon against the Con Tax. Scott Knapp, he improved to 2-3 this morning with an 8-2 win over Nunavut at the Brier. McEwen 10-4 over New Brunswick. He's 4-1. McEwen takes on British Columbia at 5 p.m. our time. That's your sports ticker in hour one, brought to you by Reliance. Switch to Reliance today. Get $200 cash back with your new water heater. Some conditions apply. Call on Reliance. All right, let's go right now. PumpJacks Cathedral Trivia.
It's time for SportsCage Trivia for PumpJacks. Great food, cold local draft, and a place that feels like home.
All right, Dan from Wolseley. Are you there? Dan from Wolseley, are you a curler?
I used to be, but my knees are a little weak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're like me. You need one of those stand-up kind of dealies where you can just push it. What's the curling rink like in Wolseley?
It's actually in really good shape. They take good care of it.
Okay, quickly, we're going to have 10 seconds, $50 on the line to PumpJacks Cathedrals. If you don't get it right, you still win a lunch. Here's the question, Dano. Rick Folk won the Brier with Saskatchewan in 1980, but how many total Briers did he win as a skip?
2.
Just like that, Dan from Moseley. That a boy. Thanks for playing. Thanks for calling in. You got $50 to PumpJacks Cathedral. Try the chicken fingers. You won't be disappointed.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, stay on. Colson's going to take your information. That's hour one in the books. We're going to come back. More talk. Read your text, and Arash Madani will join us. It is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Welcome back. Hour two. Thank you for making some time. It's been a heated discussion. We started talking about...
Heated?
I guess not that heated. We started talking about the WHL game tonight in Moose Jaw and the one in Regina and the playoff implications, and then the one in Prince Albert with Red Deer in town. Teams are battling. They're jostling for playoff positioning. Gotta love it. What a time of the year. We got some melting going on. The sun's staying up longer. It's just beautiful time of the year.
You know, I don't know if I've ever seen in recent years a Western Hockey League team get as injured as the Moose Jaw Warriors did this year. It was like the Riders from 3-4 years ago.
Good point.
And the Warriors had a lot of injuries.
Yeah, they did. And they're just fighting and clawing. They sit 9th with 47 points. Red Deer, 48 points. Like I said, Red Deer's in PA tonight. And then the Regina Pats. Who would have thunk it? 7th place in the playoffs with 53 points. Medicine Hat's in town tonight. Could be a first-round playoff preview. Looking forward to seeing young Deschamps in the lineup as they called him back. Called him up. Jet Deschamps from Manitoba, 2008-born defenseman, supposed to be in the lineup tonight. So you got a 2008, and then you got Maddox Schultz, 2010. Liam Pugh, 2010. Supposedly they're both in the lineup too. Talk about a young team. There are general managers for sure. Anyone that knows about the league, they're going, we're in trouble in a couple of years. What's going on there in the Queen City?
Well, I mean, I think when Pat ownership, Shawn Semple, hired Dale Derkach to come in as the new general manager, he was overdue for an opportunity like that, and he ended up getting it in the same franchise that he set scoring records with. And I think the future is bright with Dale Derkach as the general manager. What about the Pats coach? Is he a good coach, Barney?
So I've got to know Brad over the years, and like I started the show, and man, it's frustrating to listen to. That's why I need to be headphone guy at sporting events, because you listen to people complain and this and that. One thing I think he's not going to coddle. He's not the coach that's going to coddle kids. A lot of times that doesn't work anyway. I've played for both. The style, I like the push. You got to know when to light a fire under kids. But nowadays, you're walking such a thin line. We've seen coaches get in trouble for being aggressive on the ice with kids and all that. Everything's videotaped nowadays, so you can't do anything. Now, does every single player at all times love Brad Haroff? No, you don't want that. I don't know how you have much success with that. But when you talk hockey with him, and I've had a chance to have a few pints and talk hockey, he is extremely smart on things about the game
of hockey
that I didn't even think about. So with you couple him, you got Ryan Smith, assistant coach, good hockey mind. He's been around. You got, like you said, Dale Derkach. You got Tristan Fry. Young,
hard worker, Tristan Fry.
Smart hockey mind, they tell me. I don't know him that well.
24/7.
Yeah. So things are aligning, and then at the end of the day, you have the ingredients in the cupboard to make things.
Well, you talk about that fine line. If you ever listen to John Cooper talk about that, Canada's coach in the Olympics and the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, he had a really good sort of explanation and talked about that. And I think things have sort of changed. If you take a percentage of positive versus, objective criticism, hopefully, you have to sort of stick with the positive and objective criticism as opposed to the old school. The old school browbeating, that sort of thing is toast. It's done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be honest. Honest with the player, how he's playing, what he has to do to improve. That has to have honesty. And if he's not going to, that he may not be in the lineup, if he's, you have to have those sort of conversations. But it's changed. And as John Cooper said, a good hockey coach has to be a good in psychology.
Man, it would be awesome to be a fly on the wall for the John Coopers, the Paul Maurice, speeches. Marty St. Louis, I'd like some of that action to listen, just kind of how to pick his brain, how he thinks. Craig Berube, not so much.
Craig Berube, when he talks about what they have to do the other day in Toronto, and he's saying there's just way too much space in the neutral zone, you have to clog up the middle. When you hear about some of the things he says, he's bang on. He did win a Stanley Cup as a head coach in St. Louis, and they won it in the grindy, sort of gritty way that you have to win Stanley Cups now. But do they have the players?
I think he just seems so frustrated, and I feel bad for him. Still no Arash.
It'll be interesting to see if they're selling in Toronto, because the speculation is they're selling.
Yeah, and I think they are. Let's go out while we wait for Arash Madani. Prairie Land Rentals text line, 600 Albert Street. You get to deal with the owner, whatever that job is that's coming up. You need a rental. Prairie Land Rentals probably has it. Back to Craig and Regina talking about the Oilers. We heard from Bowman earlier and talked about the trade. Oilers management has had big misses. Frederick, I totally agree, Craig, on that one. I thought that guy was going to be Mangiapane. They've been disasters. Oilers trade Skinner, Kulak, lose assets and draft picks for Jari and Murphy. I'd argue they're no better, and you've lost picks.
Well, Mangiapane was fading in Washington. Like, you could see that he wasn't the same as when he was in Calgary. So why do you take a player that looks like he's fading in Washington and bring him to Edmonton?
Well, because you always think that you can, polish it. And
sometimes you can't polish.
We're on the same level.
I'm saying anything like that about Mangiapane, but he was a darn good hockey player, I thought, in Calgary.
Yeah, just hasn't been able to turn it around. Dean, on our Brier talk, almost every team that makes the Brier has an import from another province. So the fact that we have a skip from Winnipeg and the other three are from Saskatchewan is just fine. Dean and Regina, I think if they win that stinking thing, I don't care if he's from Mars. Dean, if he's got a Sasky jacket on, I'm all for it, buddy. I totally agree. Roscoe again says the granite rink is now pickleball courts. I think he's talking about Saskatoon.
Right.
Because Roscoe and his wife, I think, are big into the pickleball scene out there in Kindersley,
it's too bad the
in
K-Town. Couldn't get the pickleball growth. Pickleball, that's another topic altogether.
Oh, that's a whole other topic for sure. Another Dan in Regina says, my point is a new curling facility would draw people in.
Good luck with
that. We'd have to do the business plan, Dan.
With the city budgets.
But it'd have to be a standalone. It'd have to be a private, which if you're saying it's already a struggle bus, grind fest to make money, which of course it'd be like a golf course, unless you're putting up big walkout bungalows. Golf course ain't making you money in this neck of the woods. Benny says Seattle Thunderbirds are young and strong like the Pats. Love the scrappy, feisty offensive style the Pats play. Buying season tickets next year, no doubt. I'm going to hold you to that, Benny. You better not just be sitting there guzzling at Leo's. I know you sending in text messages. Colson gave me the thumbs up. He is a little late, but nonetheless, we always keep him waiting anyway. Let's go with Arash Madani.
It's time to go coast to coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Gawley at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Arash joining us. It's on the Western Pizza guest hotline today. Arash, when's the last time you curled?
Grade 9.
Yeah.
Grade 9.
Yeah.
You know Saskatchewan is a curling hotbed. By the way, Brennan again says junior curling has increased registrations in Sask in recent years. It's making a return slowly. So thanks for that, Brennan. But man, Arash, it's one of those, I get the Chicago Cubs when they finally won. It was a thing. I think it's the Arizona Cardinals that has the longest drought for any professional franchise in winning a championship. But Saskatchewan, when you think Saskatchewan, a lot of times you think curling. And Saskatchewan hasn't won the Brier since 1980.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
That's actually shocking.
You need to do a piece on that.
There you go.
Yeah, 44
There you go.
years.
When was the last time they won the Scotties? Would it have been post Schmerler or when Sandra was running the show?
Because Sherry Anderson
Schmerler.
lost.
Oh my goodness me! No, it's we've won one since Schmerler.
Yeah, what's the young lady's name?
My goodness me! Curling out of Chrono. Amber Hall.
See, I grew up in Nova Scotia where Colleen
Holland
Jones
won.
just dominated forever, right?
Say that again.
Yes.
Sorry, buddy.
I said I grew up in Nova Scotia where Colleen Jones dominated forever.
Did she ever?
Did she ever?
Yeah.
Amber Holland. 2011.
2011, okay.
2011.
I have never
14 years.
Just in the time that I've known Arash, when you told Arash just now live on air that Saskatchewan hadn't won a Brier since 1980, I have never heard silence that long from Arash Madani. He had no clue for the first time, probably in his broadcasting career, as to how to respond to Barney's.
Yeah, no, and I was doing the mental roll. I'm like, I don't know who won in 1980. You know,
Rick Folk. Calgary
Folk.
Corral. The first Brier that they banned smoking. And that's not even a joke. That's a true story.
Is that what led to the drought? Once they extinguished the cigarettes?
It was the first one that the Labatt Brewing Company took over sponsorship from the McDonald Tobacco Company, and it was the last time, it says, so allegedly, we'll use that, preface it with that, the last time a skip that used a corn broom won the Brier.
Wow.
That's huge information.
Arash, this is an informational program.
As opposed to Quebec rink where their modern 2026 broom just snapped in half.
Yeah, I saw that guy snap it.
I'm not going to judge because I'm of the structure of that gentleman, and he was really getting into there and really leaning on it, and El Snapo. Wouldn't that
So are you suggesting that's a body mechanics issue and not an equipment malfunction? Is that what you're suggesting?
Body
Barney?
mechanics.
As soon as I saw it, you know what I thought about? How hockey dressing rooms and you hear where a guy would get his stick cut just a little bit, and he'd go for a big slap shot in warm up, or you want to look cool out there in warm ups, and one of his guys put a little saw to his stick and then Snappo. I'm like, wouldn't that be a real D-bag move if somebody did that to the curling broom as a prank for that guy? And he goes down hard.
Never hit the rock though.
No,
He was good that way.
I remember I've fallen on curling ice a few times, but I remember the Robert curling rink, and it was a lot of libations, and I fell backwards, and luckily I didn't hit my head, but I hit my elbow, and that was one of the times in my life I thought I broke my elbow.
But remove curling and remove libations just for a moment. Barney, you and I are at the age now where people of our ilk are blowing out their Achilles by stepping awkwardly off the sidewalk. Like this is where we're at in life. So when you see stuff like the Quebec broom snap, you're like, okay, well, it's better that than his like femur, you know.
No, that's why I won't play my kids in badminton. They've wanted a shot at the title for a few years. Yeah. I'm worried about blowing out my Achilles. I stick with table tennis.
Yes. But flag football, fill your boots, right?
I wish I could break a hockey stick. I haven't broken a hockey stick in 20 years because I'm not strong enough.
Have you seen the prices of hockey sticks? Why would you want to buy a new hockey stick?
Yeah, I don't.
You're the winner. You're the winner here.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk. Let's start with baseball. Let's start with Team Canada facing the Blue Jays in an exhibition game ahead of the World Baseball Classic. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the Jays played Team Canada today, actually, in Dunedin. And, it's really a neat thing. Like, this is something I know that a lot of people aren't in baseball mode quite yet, but, I mean, it was hot on a sunny day in Florida. Like the World Baseball Classic starting in a few days. And it's the closest thing that baseball has to best on best in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And here you have kind of Canada's team on the pro side facing Canada's actual national team going to the WBC. And there's become this real kind of partnership between the national team program and the baseball team. And you kind of look around, there's Russell Martin, who's the first base coach of the team. There's Justin Morneau on the bench. There's Larry Walker. And you're just like, wow, this is Canadian royalty on the coaching staff. And then, like, real big leaguers are playing for Team Canada. It was real neat. And it's kind of like the startup to, I don't know, a 10, 12-day run where, for once, exhibition baseball is going to mean something globally, because Vlad Guerrero wasn't with the Blue Jays today. He's with the Dominican Republic team right now. So it's a neat break to the, I don't know, monotony, the day-to-day of spring training.
You've covered a lot of big events. I'm starting to, get a little bit hyped for this, because you can sprinkle on it. And I like some of the odds on things. But where does the World Baseball Classic rank as far as what you've covered and when you've covered it?
Well, it's fun. It's competitive. It means a lot to these guys. Like, it's like I just said, the closest thing to like an Olympic situation for them, and it feels that way when you're there. Like, Barney, you and I have talked about this over the years. You go to a baseball game in like late August, and people are having a nap, like fans. People are doing a crossword puzzle. People are, in the stands or looking where do I get an ice cream. In October, people are living and dying with every pitch. Well, in March, it's got an October vibe to it. In March, every pitch matters, and you're playing for your country, and it's real. Mm-hmm. Like, it's such a letdown when it's over and they come back to camp, and it's like, right, it's that kind of thing, and it's something that's happened kind of organically. A lot of guys didn't realize what it was until they showed up and got part of it, and all of a sudden you get wrapped up into everything that it is. So when it comes to, forget even exhibition baseball, it is better than anything in regular season baseball you can imagine. And that's what makes it so cool.
The Blue Jays, believe it or not, have played twice in Regina. In 89 and 93 against the National Baseball Institute. And when they were here in 93, they had just won the World Series, and they're playing at the old Taylor Field. And that's where I saw how competitive Pat Gillick was, the legendary Blue Jay general manager. Here he was in Regina.
The Hall of Famer, Don. The Hall of Famer,
right.
Don't forget.
And rightfully so. And the Blue Jays weren't playing that great, he didn't think, against the National Baseball Institute. And he was angry. And he was really angry. He had smoke coming out of his ears. And I thought, oh, my goodness, this is the most competitive individual I've ever seen.
And this is what's wild is, like, some of those, and this is why I guess he's in the Hall of Fame, and he did it with the Jays, and he did it with the Phillies, too. I just don't understand how people like Gillick are able to do it. It's one thing to do it in a football season where it's 18 games. Mm-hmm. Every game matters so much. To do it for 162, to be at that level of intensity from March, 25th to Halloween every day, it's something else. But I guess that's what separates, like I remember talking to some people who work in the front office, Christmas Eve, getting panic calls from Pat Gillick. Hey, we got to get on a plane and we got to go scout this kid in the Dominican. We're going to be able to get access to him the day after Christmas. We got to go. That's the way he went about it. And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame, I guess. Yeah, that's because, that's what I guess leads to winning.
I don't want to glance over this. What was the name? I remember you telling about this game at Taylor Field, old Taylor Field before. It was the National Baseball
Institute. It was like the national team.
Is it? This isn't still around, is it? Because I love that name. National Baseball Institute. Doesn't it make it sound like they're doing like some closed door scientific testing on humans underground?
I was wondering if the National Baseball Institute had anything to do with man stepping foot on the moon. Like, is there a Neil Armstrong connection to this? Is Buzz Aldrin involved as an investor?
It's Canada's version of Area 51, and it's in Lethbridge.
Right.
You can't get near it.
Well, a couple of the Blue Jays at that time, and I think it was 93, said to me right to my face, Regina's a dump.
Okay.
They said that. I thought that was quite rude. I didn't like, what was his name? Stottlemyre.
Todd Stottlemyre.
Todd Stottlemyre walked right up and said, "Your town sucks. It's a dump." I thought, what an arrogant ass.
Yeah, he had that mullet. Stottlemyre. He was.
You should have said, "Nice dive into third base, Todd."
Yeah. Todd. We should get him on the program. See what he.
Todd with 2 Ds.
Invite. Yeah. Is Canada good?
They're okay. Mike Soroka's going to be one of the starters, and Cal Quantrill. Like, we're not going to be there at the end with the USA and Japan and everything else. But there's a bunch of big leaguers on the team. Abraham Toro's on that team. Tyler O'Neill's on that team. There's some decent pitching. We're just not good enough. We're not deep enough.
Anyone from the Institute?
Pretty old.
Okay, let's maybe shelf that first.
That's very good. By the way, well done.
I think I know the Seinfeld episode, though, Kramer from the Institute.
Right.
You're in Toronto. You live in Toronto. You pay taxes in Toronto. Are the Maple Leafs as big as of a debacle as they seem out here in Saskey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And honestly, Barney, I don't know how it got this bad so fast. Remember last year, they're up. They should have been up 3-0 in the playoff series to Florida. They're up 2-0. They were up, or they leading that game 3-2-0 or 3-1 or something like that. And then it all, then Florida came back, and it goes to Game 7, and Game 7 turned into a mess. But, you're that close to beating not only the defending Stanley Cup champions, but the team that ended up winning the Stanley Cup. You're saying to yourself, okay, well, you're going to come back, and, it's a disaster. None of it's right. It all feels wrong. It all feels off. And now what are we here? 3 days away from the trade deadline, and you're saying to yourself, how do they move forward now? What do they do now? How does this possibly get better anytime soon? It almost feels like they have to tear the whole thing down.
Well, Arash, outside of the coach, is the general manager, Brad Treleving, is he in any trouble, do you think?
It's a good question, Don. I don't think any of us really know the answers. There have been some murmurs that Treleving's safe. I would suspect that he gets one more coach. He inherited Sheldon Keefe, made the move to bring in Craig Berube, and I think he'll get a shot at another one. I don't know, but if we rewind the clock a little bit, let's rewind the clock back two weeks, okay? Maybe the most dynamic player on the ice for Team Canada was Mitch Marner. Maybe. There's an argument to be made. Obviously, McDavid was doing McDavid things. Crosby got hurt. But, in big-time situations, whether it was setting guys up, whether it was the goal against Czechia, it was Marner who was all over the map in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're saying to yourself, wait a minute. Here's a guy from Toronto, drafted by the Maple Leafs, extended by the Maple Leafs, and he just walked out the door? How did this all, unfold? How has this all kind of crumbled I think you look back at that.
Oh, I think that's totally right. I think
Like
that's
they looked at Marner as the issue, and Marner wasn't the issue because look at what's happened since.
Yeah, in terms of regular season, it's had a huge effect. It's interesting that Brad Treliving sort of went down a little bit in flames in Calgary with Daryl Sutter as his coach. Now he seems to be going down a bit in flames with a similar coach in style in Craig Berube. So the old school coach, I mean, I don't know if Craig Berube is an old school coach totally. I don't know enough to how he relates to the players, how he talks to the players, but it's just Treliving wants, this old school grindy sort of game that has never matched the players that he had. There's just something lost in the translation there with Treliving somehow.
Well, I also think it's mismanagement of assets. What has Jonathan Huberdeau done since coming to Calgary? Where are the Calgary Flames since Matthew Tkachuk, a Flames draft pick, was dealt to Florida?
Great point.
And what's happened to the Florida Panthers since? Sam Bennett, drafted by Calgary rather, traded to Florida. What's happened to Florida since? And now Mitch Marner, dealt to Vegas. I don't know. I'm kind of buying stock in the Golden Knights right now based on this track record, aren't you?
I talked about that last night with some gentlemen at a hockey arena. They were talking about I really have to start watching more Eastern teams because when it comes to the drafts and the NHL, I have no idea what I'm doing there. I am clueless on the East. If you told me right now who are the three best teams in the East, I don't know if I would really know. Carolina, Tampa Bay, Buffalo.
How about those Sabres?
Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked with Vegas. We can do this another night or an after hours gambling segment. So what's Toronto going to do? Who are they moving? Matt, we talked Matthews.
I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson's, first of all, is the first out the door, even though reportedly they haven't asked him to waive his no trade clause yet. Okay.
Why wouldn't he? Wouldn't he?
The bigger question is, why haven't they approached him yet? What's the harm in that? And because they haven't, again, they have 3 more days, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, there's more to just being moved for work reasons. Whatever your family situation may be, whatever your life situation may be. If somebody knows they have a no movement clause in their deal and they own a house, they have their kids in school, blah, 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 this is their job. It's not their everything. So, and Ekman-Larsson's won a cup with Vegas. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, and that's the most puzzling thing of all. On the surface, to me, it says anybody with an expiring deal, out. And Barney, you and I talked about this on the show last week. Guy like Matthews, make the move. Start over.
I know.
I don't know when you're charging the most expensive tickets of any market in the NHL, when you're trying to get people into suites, when you're trying to do all, and you're in the middle of renewal season for both of these things, season tickets and season suites. Can you do that? And this is where the business side and the hockey side kind of collide, and this is where Brad Treliving understands that. So he'll abide by what's going to be wink, wink, nudge, nudge suggested to him.
Well, I guess this is why they pay Keith Pelly the big bucks, because he's got to get his finger on this, or Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment.
Or just quit.
Figure this out. Keith Pelly is very highly paid sports executive.
Well, maybe he's banked enough money that now he can go, I am out of here. You guys deal with this mess.
But Keith Pelly getting his finger on this, and deciding, do they eventually rebuild this? This is huge in a market like Toronto.
It's huge.
And It's for Rogers, of course, it's not having the Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup playoffs is millions of dollars out the door.
Yeah.
Millions.
And they just saw what happens when one of their other teams that they own and have the TV rights to goes to all the way to the final, right? Blue Jays Game 7 World Series, Game 7 ALCS, play the Yankees in the divisional series, like what that means to the overall business.
Yeah, it's not great because you got Vancouver out for Rogers in the NHL playoffs. You've got Calgary out. You might have likely Winnipeg out. You might have Ottawa out. It may not be a great a playoff scenario for Canadian NHL teams here.
But Don, I'll be honest, like the Oilers move the needle, the Leafs move the needle, and the Canucks kind of move the needle, and that's it. Like if the Ottawa Senators get to the Stanley Cup.
Now you're talking crazy.
No, but like if they got there in 07, they got to the conference finals in 17.
Yeah, man. What a run.
Were you excited about the Ducks and the Senators in the 2007 Cup final?
I actually was, because I remember going heavy Sens in my one hockey draft.
There
Daniel Alfredson. Yes, wasn't Radek Bonk lighting it up too? Hey, we are up against the clock. Did I see a billboard correctly that you're in Calgary for the National Men's Basketball Championship weekend, U-Sport one? Can we talk about that on Thursday?
We sure can. I'm flying out to Calgary tomorrow, so let's do it.
Oh, we're going to get live in Calgary, Arash. You know who's in Calgary probably going to be waiting for you when you arrive? Jeffrey, you know it.
Jeffrey, reach out. We got to meet Jeffrey. We got to talk. We got to talk Stamps football. Yes, Jeffrey.
And isn't Gary Bettman there right now, or is he there right now? He's going to Calgary.
Yeah, Jeffrey said that Bettman's...
Who does Jeffrey dislike more, Gary Bettman or me?
We could find out at the Calgary airport. YYC come tomorrow evening.
If my jaw's wired shut on Thursday and I can't speak, it's because Jeffrey was there to greet me.
Hey, stay safe, okay? And I want to talk to you on Thursday.
All right, sounds great.
See you, buddy. Coast to Coast with Arash Madani, brought to you by Brian Golly. Smart investing solutions right now. Be smart with your money. You might want to call Brian. Smart investing solutions. We're up against the clock. Let's go to break. We'll come back here with Clutch Performer. It's the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. All right, for Callum Solar, the guys were busy quoting on solar panels last week. I heard that. Okay. Here's my clutch performance from a few days ago, but I don't do the show on Mondays. Working the other job. Okay. A guy by the name of Kenton Miller plays hockey for the Redvers Rockets. Redvers...
They're in their provincials right now.
They beat the Round Lake Bears, coached by Theo Fleury, in a stunning 4-3 overtime at the OCHAP. Have you been to that rink in OCHAP? Yes.
They knocked out...
They had knocked out the Round Lake Bears.
Whoa.
This cat, I don't know who he's from. I looked him up. He played Regina Pat Canadians back in the day. I think he's mid-30s. Kenton Miller. He had 4 assists in the game and scored the overtime winner.
Wow.
5-point night. Keep the change. Nice to meet you.
Goodbye, Round Lake and Theron Fleury.
What a series. 4-3 in overtime. Now Redvers plays. I might take you to a game. We might go watch a game of this. Redvers Lumsden.
And a young Mr. Haywood, Jordan Haywood. Flying along for Lumsden.
Buy a burger, some fries. They got a nice concession in Lumsden.
Food at Lumsden games.
Most hockey rinks in Sasky have good food. And I don't know if they have gravy, though. That always puts it over the top. But anyway.
That rink is rocking in Lumsden.
It's going to be packed. Redvers going to bring a good crew. I would love to go watch a game in Redvers. I think it's just so far. And with my life, don't know if I'm coming or going. I'd love to go. And then the other one in A, we'll talk senior hockey tomorrow and Thursday because it's
Robert.
No, it's Raymore and Foam Lake, and those on
Robert's
the map.
Out.
Oh yeah, they're. I think you're thinking of Kenniston.
Oh, I'm thinking of Kenniston.
Yeah, Kenniston.
I'm sorry,
Foam Lake killed them.
Foam Lake beat Kenniston.
They didn't kill. They killed the dynasty.
Yeah, that was a dynasty.
So Kenton Miller's my clutch performer from the Redvers Rockets.
They've won the last 2 provincials, I think.
Double banner and the league.
Yeah.
You got to start listening to the Monday Nooner podcast.
Yes.
You're right up to date on senior hockey.
You know what? Whenever you go, like the last few years, I've gone to Lumsden a few times, and I thought people in Regina, I don't think they realize how good this hockey is in the Capel Highway hockey. Like, it is like good hockey.
Well, a lot of people know because the rinks are jammed, especially right now. And then there's a lot of people that go, "What do you senior hockey?" They think it's me and you out there, and it's like
these guys can play hockey.
Yeah, and some of them are making some good sticks and gas, as we call it. Clutch performer is for Joey. Sorry, you got one?
Yeah, I found one last minute here. Derek, I'm going to butcher the last name again. Mogilski. He is the second for Team Carruthers. Carruthers, yeah, get that right. Who are his Team Nunavut at the Brier this year.
Okay.
He just curled his 100th Brier game.
Did he?
Yeah, this morning. So, congrats to him. And, like, to curl 100 games at the Brier.
Derek Samogalski?
Yes.
Who's he with?
Nunavut,
yeah.
100th game.
Yeah, it means you play good. It means you play a good game and you played on a lot of good teams.
Yeah, fellas are going to the patch tonight to celebrate. Guaranteed.
I wonder how many curling rinks there are in Nunavut. You're talking about Regina.
Well, that's a question. Colson, let's look that up. Let's go to break. It's a SportsCage, 620 CKRM. It's for Saskatchewan Lotteries on Tuesday, main fundraiser for sport, culture, and recreation in Saskatchewan. We could have had this as our PumpJacks Cathedral Trivia question that we had earlier related to curling. How many curling rinks in Nunavut? Are we going around the horn and guessing here? Because we've had some people text in. Most of them, Jeff, Sheila, Craig, Randy, all said 1. I'm going to go.
Too.
Roscoe said 1 too. He says it's 400 kilometers long. I'm guessing he just means the ocean up there.
I would say, I don't know. I'd love to go up there and visit it. I'll go 1.
Don, what do you think?
I go 1 too.
Indoor?
I was guessing 1. I think that if we should all move to Nunavut, we'd have a decent shot at playing in the Brier.
This is according to Wikipedia's list. There are 3. The Iqaluit Curling Club. These are all...
You don't have to do names.
Yeah. And then there's 2 more. One in Rankin Inlet and one in Cambridge Bay.
Wow. Rankin Inlet, Cambridge. Wow.
How many do you think the Yukon and the Northwest have? Because they're
together?
on here too. Well, you can...
Well, Whitehorse would have to... They'd have to have a couple.
1. I bet you they have 1.
And then what else is in the Northwest Territories? That's on the bucket list. I got to explore the territories.
The Yukon have 5 technically. I think one of them's actually in BC, but it's counted as in the Yukon.
Really?
Like government association, whatever.
Okay.
And then the Northwest has 4 on artificial ice and 4 on natural ice. Which I guess you could do natural ice curling rinks because you can do natural ice hockey rinks, but like, I didn't realize we were having to get that specific here.
Oh, that's another Saskatchewan curling history. Used to have millions of naturalized curling little rinks in Saskatchewan. Not millions, but a lot.
That's very, very interesting. I hate, it's like, I don't want to be someone that's not from Saskatchewan right now and be like, whoa, do you guys have running water kind of thing? Because I think of the territories, vast, barren, all that, but there is cities up there. I've always wanted, can you look up this one for me? Golf courses. Let's go golf courses in Whitehorse. Because I would love to go up.
They have summers that never
or
end
Alaska, exactly. You go up there in late June. Mm-hmm. When we played in Scotland, we've gone in May and we've gone in June. I tell people all the time, I would recommend going in those 2 months because the sun stays up so long.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. You can golf until 11 o'clock at night in June.
And if you want to go golfing in the Northwest Territories, you can tee up at 3 a.m.
Matchbox 20 style. How many courses?
There's a few more in the Northwest Territories by the look of it than Yukon, but
I've talked to someone that lived in Fort McMurray. Same thing. Like, it's up there. Mm-hmm. Beautiful country too. What about Flin Flon? Northwest Territories got a few, or Whitehorse has a few courses. It'd have to be tough to grow grass. Isn't that the Shield?
They have nice summers. They're shorter, but they have very nice summers.
Yeah, see, that's why I'll shut up now.
Beautiful summers.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just want to go there. Not easy to get to.
I'd like to drive up there too. I really would.
We started. I don't want to drive. I didn't say anything about driving. Fly in. We started. We talked about how it's just mind-boggling that Saskatchewan hasn't won the men's curling championship, the Brier, since 1980, and Rick Folk, and 44 years. And we got close 2 years ago with the Mike McEwen foursome here in Regina. You brought up, and you wanted to talk about Brad Gushue. Yes. If you would have asked me how old is Brad Gushue, he looks, I'm going to say he looks 42, but I would guess he'd be 50.
Yeah, 45. And
he's 45.
There's 45, and he's looking great. And what a love affair that the people in St. John's have with his rink, himself personally, and his rink. I mean, he has had probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 standing ovations so far in the Brier. I mean, they love him so much there, he could bend down and tie his shoe and get a standing O. It's wonderful to watch. It's like St. John's, Newfoundland, you know, it's, I guess from Canadian standards, there's some isolation there. And that sort of results in, you know, how much big sort of curling, or not even curling events, but sporting events do they get. They appreciate having the Brier so much, and it comes through on the television. And it's just wonderful to watch, as you said earlier, Barney. And I'll tell you who really dropped the ball when you talk about curling coverage was the CBC at the Olympics. How can you not have, you could have done it, because TSN partnered with Sportsnet and the CBC for the Olympics coverage, Winter Games in Italy. You had every opportunity to have Vic Rauter calling the curling in Italy, and he should have been calling the curling, and he wasn't.
Maybe he didn't want
to.
Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe Vic's like, I'm good hanging out in St. John's.
They should have had Vic Rauter calling the curling, because he's done it so long. It's not curling right now without Vic Rauter. It just isn't.
Can I give my, we got a TV guy in the room here too today, but I'm going to give my 2 cents on that since we're on here.
Russ Howard too. He should have been there too.
I feel that the Olympic Consortium, is that what it is?
Yeah. Consortium is correct.
They went on the cheap this year, talent-wise. Much like TV is doing across the country. Am I wrong?
From the Toronto studio.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. They're doing things from the Toronto studio.
I think a lot of it was really on the cheap. From
yeah.
I wasn't God's gift to TV either, but from the talent right down to the production.
I tell you who had a hard time at the Olympics, I thought, doing the morning show was Ron McLean, because he did not host the panel for the men's hockey.
I had somebody message me.
James Duthie got the nod over Ron McLean, and in that gold medal game, Barney, Ron McLean had to throw to James Duthie, and he was doing his best, but that was a hard and sour moment for Ron McLean, I'll tell you that. And I mean, James Duthie is good. You tell me what you think of James Duthie.
Really good.
That had to have been a tough Olympics for Ron McLean not to be hosting that gold medal game.
It's funny, I had someone message and say, why is he there? What's he doing? Because he would just kind of briefly come in, and there was one time he wasn't even on the camera, and he was just doing throws. And I guess to have the iconic Ron McLean is cool, but I'm like, oof, yeah. So we're up against the clock here. Colson Thomas are going to break. Good point, though. Really, really.
It was a tough
good
one
point.
for Ron McLean, though. I mean, clearly. He got demoted.
Stay tuned. Coming right back with a little sports ticker. It's The Cage on 620 CKRM. It is for Extreme Hockey and Sport locations at the Cooperator Center, the regular location here in Regina, and now in Moose Jaw at the Temple Gardens Center. Big game. Big games around the province tonight for Western Hockey League teams here in Regina. The Pats currently hold the 7th spot. They take on the Medicine Hat Tigers. Could be first round preview. 7 p.m. puck drop. It's right here on 620 CKRM starting at 6:30. Moose Jaw, they are at home to the Calgary Hitmen. They need 2 points. 7 p.m. puck drop, and Red Deer is in Prince Albert to take on the Raiders. SJ Melville welcomes Warman. Melfort travels to Larange. Prairie Junior Hockey League playoffs. Fort Knox leading 2-0. Home to Assiniboia. Pilot Buttes in Regina to take on the Capitals. U18 AAA, the Saskatoon Contacts hosting the Regina Pat Canadians. The Pat C's up 1-0. Allegedly, Liam Pugh's in the lineup for the Pat Canadians tonight. The Moose Jaw Winmar Warriors are in Battleford's leading 1-0 there. At the Brier today, earlier, it was the Knapp foursome knocking off Nunavut 8-2. They're at 2-3 in Pool A. The McEwen foursome won 10-4 over New Brunswick. They are 4-1 and take on British Columbia here coming up in moments. National Hockey League tonight, Canadian teams, Jets home to Chicago. Flames welcome Dallas. Edmonton hosting the Ottawa Senators. And Montreal is in San Jose. That is your sports ticker for Extreme Hockey and Sport. Home of the price match guarantee right now, almost the entire store, 20% off last year's stock. If you need a twig, Don, or any equipment, Extreme Hockey and Sport. 2 locations in Regina, 1 in Moose Jaw. Hour 3 is coming up. Glen Suitor, we're talking CFL coaches. Stay tuned. It's a Sports Cage. We are streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. 1 more hour today. In the Sports Cage, Don Hewitt, former sports director from CTV Regina, is with me. Colson's on the other side of the board. Regina Pats tonight, home to the Medicine Hat Tigers. I've heard Liam Pugh's with the Pat Canadians up to take on the Contacts. Maddox Schultz will be in the lineup for the Regina Pats, and 2008-born defenseman Jet Deschamps supposed to be in the Pats lineup tonight down the road. Moose Jaw, big one there. And then Red Deer is in Prince Albert needing points as well. I wanted to mention this, Don. Mention this over the next few days. Coming up this Saturday, any Rider fans, CFL fans looking to do something on Saturday, PumpJacks Cathedral, Albert and 13th. The CFL fans, they're hosting... it's a night to battle cancer, CFL fans. They're playing trivia-based bingo called Tringo. 4 tickets to a Rider game at the Havana section. A game-worn jersey by Jeremy O'Day.
Oh, you're kidding.
A signed football, signed team picture.
Wow.
Lots of prizes. It is the CFL Fans Fight Cancer event in Regina Saturday night at PumpJacks Tringo. I love trivia and bingo. I love trivia. Bingo, I'm always scared to yell bingo if I have a bingo. So that's
why are you scared?
50, because I always think I wasn't paying attention, wrote down or dabbed the wrong number. 50-50 draw, silent auction, giveaway, surprises. Yeah, it's all going up. It's all going down Saturday at PumpJacks Cathedral.
That was nice of Jeremy to donate one of his old game-worn jerseys take that out of his closet. Yeah. That was nice of him.
6 to 10 timing on that. So, and if you want to PumpJacks, try the crispy ribs or the chicken fingers. Homemade chicken fingers. Unbelievable. We've been talking Brier, lots of text messages in here as well, people participating. And then the curling rinks in Nunavut. They are, people are wondering about that. And I don't know, Colson. Look it up on the Google.
But your odds of getting into something like the Scotties or the Briers, if you had the brains to move to either the Yukon, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, if you were smart,
or
move
on the
up
run
there and start practicing curling, and you too could be in a national curling event, because how many teams do you have to beat out to get there? It's sort of like the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah, but watch. You go up there and there's a couple of wagons. And then it's like, well, I can't believe I just uprooted my life to come up here and lose at something else. Eli on the text line talking about the Leafs says...
Not to diminish the people that are there at the Brier now from those
Leafs
cars.
are going into full rebuild now. They're going to fire everyone, let the Toronto media build the team this time. They're desperately trying to get out of the basement. Eli, thanks for the text messages. Dano on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. A buddy of mine golfed in the Northwest Territories and said you take a piece of carpet with you when you hit the ball every shot. I have heard that before as well. That's what I was wondering if that popped up when you were talking about golfing.
What do you mean?
Like, it's in Scotland when you play if you played St. Andrews in December or January, you don't hit off the grass. Like you hit off a piece of fake turf. So you're playing the course, but you're just not taking the divots, right? It's fake turf. And you take that around with you.
And they do that in the Northwest Territories too?
That's alleged. That's from Dan on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. I could see it though. That's what I mean about growing the grass up there. Does it grow as commonly as everywhere else? Because it's rock and shield. And again, I've never been there. I should have shut up because I'm sounding like people that are from there are like, you idiot.
So what's with the St. Andrews? Just because they want it so pristine and it's wet and soggy at that time of year?
Cold. Yeah, I think it just probably affects and maybe get winter kill, and kind of like when you play with frost. If you played a golf course with frost, which I did once, actually. That's a story for a whole other time. Thanks for the text messages. Keep them coming. Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street, where you get to deal with the owner. Anything you need, rental. All of our guests today have been joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. What a night for a little Western pizza pie. Had one on the weekend, of course. Perfect pizza, generous amount of toppings. Get one maybe before the Pats game tonight. Let's talk to our friend Glen Suitor.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Rough Rider legend Glen Suitor on the SportsCage.
Hey, Suits, you ever spent much time out in the Northwest Territories, Yukon, Alaska, anywhere like that?
Actually, Alaska, yeah. Like my daughter, who went to AMDA in New York for schooling for performing arts, after she graduated, got a gig that was, the auditions were in New York, and they took, 40 cast members up to Skagway, Alaska. Ooh, cool. And Skagway is famous for the gold rush. In fact, I think it's part of the Klondike Gold Rush National Park up there. And you guys were talking about golf courses and curling rinks, and I was thinking I've been to Skagway because I went to watch her in the show. And that's where the cruise ships, by the way, that's where the cruise ships, if you're going to Alaska on a cruise ship, that's where they stop. They stop in Skagway and they go through the entire gold rush history and all that. So they have a nice show up there. Went up and saw it and walked around. Didn't see a golf course. Now, Skagway is a tiny little village kind of thing.
I'm looking at it on the map right now. It's in the inlet. It's in the inlet.
Exactly.
Is that what it's called?
The big cruise ships. They're all docked up there. The people get off and they walk around. They go to the pubs. It's like the old style Gold Rush pubs, but you walk around the coast there, just around the shoreline. The fishing possibilities. That's all I could think of. Walking around there, going, "Oh man, there is salmon right there. I know, right in this bay,
winking at you. Hey, come and catch me."
They're winking at me, exactly. Didn't see a golf course, but beautiful country. Wow, beautiful.
I bet.
I've been to Alaska. I've been to Anchorage, and then we drove. We played in Soldotna, which we had to, and I think Homer, the singer Jour, She was really big at that part too. That's where she was from. And we were all 18, 19 years old. And all I remember is they said that there was 4 males to every female in Alaska.
Not a good place to go then.
That's what I thought. No, well, I'm looking at golf courses. So that's what I'm worried about, golf courses. But it like where you're talking about, that's Skagway, and I know there's somebody that's going to text in that has been up there on the cruise ships. That I looked at pictures of the town. That looks really nice, Glenn. Did you stay? You didn't stay overnight or anything, or did you?
Yeah, we stayed overnight. Yeah, I think it was a motel, a small motel, I believe, right in Skagway. But we went to the border, the Alaska port, and then drove from there, and just right along the countryside there, and then into Skagway, and that coastline is so beautiful. Yeah,
look at the train. Yeah. There's a train of some sort that goes through. Like, you are smack dab in the mountains.
And they've left it sort of like the Gold Rush days. That's the attraction. That's why the cruise ships have used it as part of their tour. You go in there and you feel like you're in the Gold Rush days. And there's the wagons and the pubs. All of the waitresses dress in the old style 1895 Gold Rush outfits, and it's really, really quite cool. But not sure about golfing. I don't know how far you'd have to drive to golf.
Yeah. Here we go. My niece lived in Cambridge Bay for years. Have never heard her talk about curling, but we'll ask her. All right. Thanks, Roscoe. Yeah. Okay. Well, if people know anything about curling or golfing in the Northwest Territories, Nunavut, or even Alaska, we're taking calls right now at 936-6262. I want to ask you about CFL football. And I was sitting there thinking today, I'm coaches' rooms, coaching staffs. If we look first off, Glenn, to the West, the CFL West. Maybe on Thursday we look at the East. When you look at coaching rooms and staffs that are in place, how would you rank things? Where do you start?
Well, let's start with the team that I think will challenge the Riders most in the West Division, and I still think it's the BC Lions with Nathan Rourke. And you look at their coaching staff, it'll be year 2 for Buck Pierce as the head coach and play caller for Nathan. So he's going to be much more comfortable. I think that staff will, really settle in. Mike Benavides was their defensive coordinator and still is, but he works in combination with Ryan Phillips. And Ryan Phillips is called sort of the pass defense coordinator. And I'm not sure how that responsibility will be coming up in the next year, but that was their issue last year. And not to put it all on the coaches, because I thought early in the season the Lions didn't have the personnel on defense that they needed across the board. I don't need to name names, but they were missing 3 or 4 players on D, and that's why they were giving up a lot of yards, a lot of points. As the playoffs began and they got to that West Final in Saskatchewan, then you could shift some of the responsibility to the coaching staff and to Mike Benavides, my former colleague at TSN, because that 12-yard cushion defense that they were playing, especially late in that game against Trevor Harris, I mean, I don't know. Well, we know it didn't work. I'm just not sure about the strategy to have, your whole second line, linebackers and DBs, 15 yards off the ball and allowing Trevor Harris to just, without any pressure, throwing it underneath and allowing his receivers to go get first downs was, I don't know, just a strategy that I would question. But that's been their issue. So the Lions, are going to be settled in. And then it's about the responsibility, offensively, and then about the responsibility on defense between Benavides and Ryan Phillips. And they're both still there. They're both returning.
You talk about Benavides, he's had a great coaching career, and that's a testament to how long he's lasted as a CFL coach, which isn't easy to last as long as he's lasted, but he has been replaced before. as a defensive coordinator. That doesn't mean that he's not coming up with new tricks and new things to do, but I guess, I've always sort of wondered about that from a few times in the past where he was replaced.
Yeah. I think Buck has still got great confidence in him, and I'm not sure he's going anywhere coming into this season. I wonder if the responsibilities between the two will shift, and we'll see how that transpires. But they went into free agency and really added some defenders. I mean, Jamal Peters in the back end, Deontay Ruffin, Casey Sales, and maybe the most important, Darnell Sankey in the middle, and what he will bring and that leadership on defense. So I think personnel-wise, they have TJ Lee and those guys back, the veterans, and BC Lions, I think, will improve on defense. And if they do, offensively, this is still a fantastic team with the MOP at quarterback.
Coaches. Let's stay on coaches.
Okay. Yeah. Calgary. Yeah,
no, I'm really interested in this.
Yeah. Well, the Calgary Stampeders have, again, they're going to be in year 2 of this sort of arrangement with Dave Dickinson has stepped away from play calling, did that a couple of years ago, but stepped away from play calling and wants to just, like Corey Mace, have the big picture always on the field. The managing of the game will be all that they're concerned with, because Pat Delmonico is going to be their offensive coordinator, play caller. And, Bob Slowick, their defensive coordinator, I thought he did some really cool things last year.
He did.
With that defensive line, Don, and he rushed with 4, but he had such a real cool sort of scheme where he would get a Rimolade hard off the edge and force the quarterback to step up in the pocket. And then he'd have spies underneath there, like Clarence Hicks, that would just slide and make the tackle. And it was sort of a setup that you haven't really seen. It wasn't conventional.
I agree.
And Slowick has quite the resume. I mean, we're talking about NFL with the Broncos and DC down there, and he was a coach for a long time in college and major college football. So
his sons are coaching in the NFL for
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what he brings. The funny thing about Calgary, though, is, and this is so weird to me because I don't think I ever remember it happening. In free agency, the Calgary Stampeders, not one team signed a Calgary Stampeder in free agency.
Wait till Jeffrey starts texting in on that. Oh, no.
Well, it just,
that's really crazy.
I mean,
it is.
Well, in comparison, guys, the Riders lost 12. I mean, if you consider Deontay Myers, who went to the NFL, as one of them, 11 free agents went to other teams. Now they're Grey Cup champions. That happens when you win. People want to pluck your talent.
Right.
But you look at all the other teams. I think the lowest number might be 5 or 6 that they lost, and it's all around 8 to 12 that most teams lost. Calgary Stampeders did not have a free agent go to another team. So that's interesting to me.
Very interesting.
And I wonder how young this team will be when we kick it off.
Edmonton or Winnipeg? Where do you want to go next?
Well, Winnipeg is the team that sort of in the West has made a bit of a change. And they brought Tommy Condell in, and Michael O'Shea did not wait to make this move. It wasn't because Jason Hogan did an awful job last year. I think it's just maybe inexperience in the play calling department. But Tommy Condell was a decision they made immediately. So O'Shea saw what happened last year, saw the team slip a bit, and said, let's bring in some more experience to play call for Zach Collaros. Now, Zach and Tommy Condell have worked together before, so that chemistry will be automatic. Here's the question I have in Winnipeg, though. Watching Tommy Condell on other teams, whether it be Ottawa or Hamilton, as a play caller, I've often thought at times that he has forgotten about a consistent run game. That there are some OCs that sort of get caught up in, trying to outthink the DC on the other side and saying they expect us to run, so we're going to do something different.
Yep.
and Tommy Condell has been one of those guys. So how is that going to work with Brady Oliveira as their starting tailback? I mean, this is a run-first team. And Zach's I know an award-winning quarterback, and I got that, but this is a team that starts with Brady Oliveira, and if they're a good offensive football team, which they've been going back for 4 or 5 years straight, it's been through the run game. So that's going to be interesting to see with Tommy Condell, coming over. But those are your major changes for the West Division. Most of the teams are going with the staffs they had, with slight adjustments and going into year 2. Like Edmonton's going into year 2. Mark Killam, year 2 as a head coach. Jordan Maksimic is back in Edmonton last year. He's going to be now working with Cody Fajardo, and that's a quarterback style that works with Jordan Maksimic. Jordan Maksimic and Trey Ford didn't work. And I'm not blaming one or the other, but that offense didn't suit Trey really, and Trey didn't make the adjustments, so you can divide the blame any way you want. But Cody Fajardo is the type of quarterback that Jordan Maksimic is used to. So I could see, that's going to be a good combination. And it was when he took over last year. So that's going to just grow. JC Sherritt's back as their defensive coordinator. And, Rider fans know JC. Corey Mays had him for a brief time in Saskatchewan, and now he's over in Calgary. I thought their defense got better as the year went on in Edmonton, and I can just see Sherritt now taking that to the next step. So they'll be better. They'll be better, the Edmonton Elks, with those guys and with the combination of the coordinator and the coach, our quarterback.
And I just watched Mark Killam operate, and it seemed like he was getting better as the season was going on as a head coach. He was getting more comfortable in his own skin. I could just see that. I know when they made the quarterbacking change, obviously that helped at that point in time. But I see Edmonton as a better team than last year. And like you said,
I do too, Don. I mean, I do too. I just, I wonder how young they're going to be in the back end, in the secondary. I mean, they've made some changes there. They were young already. That was an area that they were sort of growing their own. I think linebacker and D-line, they'll be okay. Who's going to be their dominant rusher will be one. And that sort of leaves us from coaching staff point of view for Barney is the Riders. And, when you win the championship, I'm sure there's this temptation to just stay, status quo as much as possible. Now, the Riders are going to have to do some changes in personnel because of free agency. They lost a bunch of guys, as we mentioned. So who's going to pick up the yards for Dante Myers? Another American receiver is going to have to step up. Might be a guy that we don't know much about until after training camp and into the beginning of the year. Corey Mace is sort of, I think, going to do the big picture more and let, Josh Bell take care of the defense and have that responsibility. And Corey, has been calling defensive plays early in his tenure in Saskatchewan, and now is sort of stepping away from that, which I think that's a good call in a lot of ways. He can still have tons of input, obviously, even in games. But, thinking as a coach, our game happens so quickly that the big picture and game management for a head coach is crucial.
I'm really curious there, and you've seen it a number of times through your playing career and as a broadcaster, because we see it happen in all sports. We're talking football, we're talking Canadian football right now, where it's like anything though. You want to have some control. If you're an alpha personality, A-type, male, female, whatever, you want control. And if you're good at what you're controlling, it's hard to relinquish. But with, he basically is now, and I don't want to put it that he's got a diminished workload, because there's enough work to go around. But now I'm really curious, Glenn, on where he can maybe laser focus somewhere else or help out more. Because like I said, you've probably seen it where a lot of times it's like, well, now this guy's coaching, his football IQ, his coaching IQ just took off because he was a little more broad and he has guys that were able to help out.
Yeah, it'll be a lot more time for Corey. And I remember later in the season in a Zoom call with Corey, he talked, and I asked him flat out, I said, being a head coach for the first couple of years here, how is it, how has it pulled you? What has been the surprise? And he said, the amount that I have to do media and things like that. Because when you're just a coordinator, you lock yourself in your room, you're doing film work, you're doing game planning, practice cards, all of it. And that consumes you from, 5 a.m. until everyone's left and it's 12 at night. And some coordinators, as a matter of fact, will sleep in the building because, at the practice facility, because why go home for 3 hours and come right back? So, Corey's going to have a chance, but I think that allows him now in the practice scenario to go to different groups, look at the special teams a little bit more, walk over to the offense, see what they're doing. How can I help with the O-line, things like that, but still have tons of input in the defense. I mean, he's going to,
absolutely,
and be able to step outside of the X's and O's, Don, and look at personnel, so he can just really evaluate the personnel. One of the interesting things in the coaching staffs with Saskatchewan that I'm really curious on is Micah Johnson. Micah can't walk on the practice field, talk to the D-line and say, do it like I did it.
Do you got one more quick one?
I was going to say, talking about the workload for the coaches, if you drive by Mosaic Stadium today, every coach's vehicle is in the parking stalls because they are grinding for the CFL draft.
What kind of stalker are you? You know what they drive?
The rink and the gym are right beside. I drive by there all the time. But, I mean, they're grinding it out, helping the personnel people, all the coaches with the CFL draft. And people don't realize all the different tasks that coaches do. And they're busy right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you win championships in the off season with the draft and free agency and all the X's and O's and changes you're doing. And none of those cars, by the way, are owned by George Costanza, who just leaves them overnight. So it looks like they're first thing in the morning.
John Voight's LeBaron.
Yeah.
The John Voight. No, we'll pick this up on Thursday, and I want to talk Eastern coaches, but it's great. Speaking of the Combine and the Invitational Combine starting Friday in Waterloo, we're talking to a Regina resident from the University of Manitoba in about 10 minutes' time. Dave Thomas has an interview, so we get to hear on that journey. All right, Suits. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Oh, I just Kevin from Regina texted into us and said, been to Whitehorse many times, Shink. No issues with grass there. Grows fine. Okay. Here we go. Educational program.
That's what I thought.
Educational program. Sounds like there was a little edge to that text.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk to you Thursday, Suits.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
There it is. Press coverage with Glen Suitor. Let's go to break. We'll come back with Sprinkle of the Day. I circled this game. John, you got to stick around for this one. I circled this one. This is an interesting one. We'll be right back. It's a Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. Okay, you don't have to gamble or bet, but this is for entertainment purposes only. Unless you want to go to sportselect.com on your phone and pick a game. Generate a QR code now. Go to your Lotto Spot retailer and scan that, or you can fill it out the old-fashioned way. Dave, I heard Dave. That's one thing I did hear yesterday. Dave and Tegan talking about filling it in that box. You know, the box thing where some guys would just put the line, and I was always scared to put the line. So I'd always color it in, and I'm not sure am I doing it too much. But now, Don, I do the QR code. Here it is. Here's the game I want to circle tonight. It's not two Canadian teams. I'm sorry, but I find this as a measuring stick game, maybe more so for the Buffalo Sabres, maybe a little bit for the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is in Buffalo.
Interesting game.
Isn't it?
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
So
That's a very interesting game.
You can play it on its own as well, standalone game. So the pro line for the team to win in regulation, Vegas pays $250. Buffalo at home, the favorite, pays $205. Again, and I know people out there are rolling their eyes right now. I love playing my ties. I said hit. I don't really hit them all that often. I love playing my ties. If this game goes to overtime, which I think we could be in for, pays $350.
You know, I tell you, Buffalo, like there's speculation they're going after Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues right now, who's a heck of a hockey player. We saw him playing the Memorial Cup here in Regina, but I think they're adding. The Sabres are adding going into the playoffs, and they're going to be maybe an interesting team. Right now, if the season ended today, Montreal would play Buffalo in the first round.
The over-under on that one tonight at Sports Select is 6. So that's paying $195 for the over, $165 for the under. It's all available, sportselect.com. Make your picks online now. Generate your QR code. Go to your Lotto Spot retailer. Every bet is 100% legal with a chance of winning cash in hand. When you're ready to play, bet on the original Sports Select. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly. Sports Ticker.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Oh, big WHL games around the province tonight in Regina, 6:30 right here on 620 CKRM with the pregame show. Regina Pats hosting the Medicine Hat Tigers. Could be a first-round preview. In Moose Jaw, Calgary's in town. Moose Jaw needs points. 7 p.m. puck drop. And Prince Albert is hosting the Red Deer Rebels. SJ Warman's in Melville. Melfort travels to La Ronge. Prairie Junior Hockey League playoffs. Fort Knox leading 2-0, hosting Assiniboia Pilot Buttes at the Regina Capitals. Game 3 of that one there. AAA, the Regina Pat Canadians are in Saskatoon to take on the Contacts. Moose Jaws in the Battlefords. At the Brier, the Knapp foursome, 8-2 win over Nunavut today. They're 2-3. McEwen beat New Brunswick 10-4. McEwen's on the ice right now with British Columbia. What was the score there? Was it 1-0 BC? I think it was 1-0 BC. No, it's 2-1 Saskatchewan now going into the third end. It's for Regina Steelcraft Doors. Garage doors made in Western Canada for Western Canada. Steelcraft Doors in Regina. So coming up after the break, we are going to hear Dave Thomas talk to one of the athletes performing or participating at the CFL Invitational Combine in Waterloo. So you stayed almost the whole show with me, Don. What a great show.
Yeah.
Brier talk. We learned a lot about the North.
We came to some, I don't know, shaky conclusions the odd time on the odd thing, like why can't Regina or Saskatchewan win a Brier? We couldn't come up with a definitive answer as to why this province, Saski, as you call our province, why we can't win a Brier. We mulled it over, Barney, but never came to that's the answer. I'm frustrated by that.
Some people said because we don't have enough rinks anymore. Some people said the decline in kids playing, which Brandon said, nope, actually curling numbers are up. A few said just bad luck, which, okay, I'll buy some of that stock as well. But and the other thing, Don, that we never talked about, when they get there and they, like McEwen 2 years ago in Regina, the amount of pressure. Because not only do you want to win, and it's the championship final of Canada, it's that 44 years pressure.
Yeah, you make a point.
Can we start calling it the curse of maybe?
It's definitely a curse.
The curse of something?
It's got to be that long.
McDonald's tobacco. Because McDonald's tobacco, and they were the sponsor, and then in 1980, Labatt took over, the Labatt tankard, the McDonald tobacco curse. They gave us one more, and then they took it away because we took away smoking.
Well, yeah. I don't know, McDonald's tobacco curse.
Dave Thomas is coming up in a bit. I'm back tomorrow. Lots of hockey tomorrow. Trade deadline. We're going to have a lot of fun. Don, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're going to have some good shows coming up this week. Lots going on the
Thanks so much.
Deadline.
Next Tuesday.
Thanks,
Hopefully
Barney.
see you again.
Yep.
We'll be back to listen to Dave Thomas. Stay tuned. It's the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. Here to talk some football, and the CFL Invitational Combine starts Friday in Waterloo. A number of local athletes. They've been showcased on sportscage.com if you want to do some reading there. But Dave Thomas caught up with University of Manitoba Regina native Deshawn Jour, who's heading to Waterloo on Friday to show his stuff.
Deshawn, how are you feeling knowing that we're just days away from an opportunity to show what you've got essentially in front of scouts?
First and foremost, I want to say thanks for having me on. And it's kind of just something that I said off air, but I just think where I came from, just kind of the obstacles that I've had in my life, I think even being able to say that I'm a couple days out from a CFL combine is still kind of surreal, but it's something that I also have to remind myself that this is something that I've worked for and in a sense something that I've earned.
Yeah, absolutely. Earned is probably the best word, and you've had to earn things every step of the way, starting with Glen born, which is what I want to bring right from the hop, and how proud you are of where you've came and now how far you've come. When you look at your journey, what's the defining moments when it comes to Deshawn Jour?
I think for me, I've just never been highly recruited, even when it was in Regina growing up. I was never on Team Sask or Sask Selects or anything like that. I was never really a name that was highly touted coming out of high school, so that's why I had to go for the junior route. So I think just for me, I kind of just like being that underdog, and I think it's a little bit ironic for me that I'm a 6'3", 220-pound underdog. But it's kind of just been something that I've always kind of relished in, and something that I've kind of just always had a chip on my shoulder, something that I'm just kind of used to. And so, I think for me, being from Glen just on the east side of Regina, I feel a majority of the time when there's Regina athletes, they're usually going to a school like Leboldus or Campbell, Riffle. There's not a lot of athletes making it out of Johnson. And at least when I was growing up. And I think now Dylan Hart has done a great job with that.
So to
let people know that the east side has great football players as well.
Well, you've definitely shown that. You talked about your journey, of course, starting in junior here in Regina and then really blossoming in Edmonton with the Huskies. You put up over 600 yards back in, 2021. What did junior football give to you and mean to your confidence? As you mentioned, you weren't highly regarded or even scouted out of high school.
Yeah. No, I think right out of high school, I think it really hurt me that the hometown school, the Regina Rams, didn't recruit me, and I think that there were a lot of guys that were recruited in my class that I was a little bit confused on, but that's just how it works at the next level. And so I had a great opportunity with the Regina Thunder right out of high school. There's an opportunity given to me by the head coach Scott McCauley, and I played there for 2 years. I even got the opportunity to be on the practice roster with the Riders in my rookie year. And then just things just didn't work out, I guess, behind the scenes, but I don't have any bad things to say about the program at all. And then I just had an opportunity to go and play out in Edmonton. And I just know that I went into that season just knowing, okay, I'm not this highly recruited, highly sought after player. I kind of just had these 2 lackluster seasons in Regina. And so this was going to my third year junior. I was okay. This is kind of the make or break it year. And then fortunately for me, I was able to be all Canadian that year, and then like that's kind of when I started getting like the interest nationwide.
Well, that's a heck of an accomplishment considering 2021, you're coming out of a pandemic, not to mention the challenges you had off the field with your father, who I know was an inspiration to you.
Yeah. No. It was really kind of a whirlwind that like 2019, 2020 year, because 2019, I get released from the Thunder. Then, like, I think it was like 6 months later, I lose like my dad, and then like we're also in a global pandemic, and so there were a lot of dark times in 2020 where I was very kind of uncertain with who I was as a football player, who I was as a person, and then just kind of not having that like support system that I had like my entire life. It was a time in my life where I did a lot of reflecting, but I think through that I was able to kind of find out who I am, and I was able to kind of dig deep and kind of just like rely on like the hard work and the values that my father had instilled in me, and then I was able to kind of make it work. But it was something that was definitely not easy, but I think it was something that made me who I am today.
Well, to Shawn Jour, after your time with the Edmonton Huskies, you mentioned that maybe some schools started coming. I know one, and I don't know if you know the story, but Brian Dobie was absolutely giddy when you committed to going to Manitoba and right before the 22 season. And I don't know if he anticipated how much playing time you would get, but you suited up for all 9 games, make 13 receptions for 165 yards. Brian Dobie had a lot of faith in you. What did you have faith in him and his program that you thought it was the right fit for you?
Yeah, so it's actually a little bit of a funny story. So I was actually verbally committed to UBC, and so I had a really good conversation with Blake Nill, and I just really loved what they were doing over at UBC, and U of M was always kind of like a close second, but so I had given Coach Dobie a phone call. I had let him know that, hey, like I appreciate everything, but I'm going to be signing with UBC, and then this is kind of where like the magic of Brian Dobie had worked in, and he kind of just like had me on like the phone, no word of a lie, for at least 3 hours, and he was able to kind of like convince me that Winnipeg was a city that I would rather live in than Vancouver. So he's definitely a great recruiter, but it was also just after the 2021 season, U of M was just in like the Hardy Cup. I know they had Jackson Kaczynski, and I had a lot of faith in like the program, had a lot of faith in like our coaches, and as well, it's only 6 hours away from Regina, so it was something that I was able to also like play university football away from home, but also still just be a 6-hour drive away from my friends and family.
So, to Shawn Jour, how are you feeling heading into Waterloo, physically, mentally, and again, you say heck of an opportunity coming up in Waterloo?
I'm feeling great. Again, I think the older that I get, I think when I was younger, I was always looking forward. I was always looking like at what's next. And I think the older that I get, and I'm able to kind of look back of like where I come from, kind of the obstacles and what have you. I'm able to just enjoy where I am at right now. And I feel good, both physically and mentally. And I'm able to just enjoy that a kid like from Glen Cairn, FW Johnson is about to go to the CFL Combine. So I am really feeling good about it.
How have you prepared? How have you been training?
So I've been running with the U of M track team for the last 2 years. So that's where I've been working for my speed and agility. And then for the past year and a half, I've been working with the rink. It's a sports training center that we have here in Winnipeg. It's where like a lot of the Blue Bombers will go and train like in the off season, and like our head trainer that's working with all of the combine guys like me, Nick Pereira, Caleb, Mackie McLeod, and Nathan Udo, and our head trainers Adam Nealis.
Good luck to him. It starts Friday in Waterloo. We will showcase another one of the athletes tomorrow here on the Sports Cage. Another one heading to Waterloo for the CFL Invitational Combine starting on Friday. All right, the Sports Cage is almost wrapped up tomorrow. Real big hockey show tomorrow. We're hoping to have Cam Moon, voice of the Edmonton Oilers, fan of the program, joining us tomorrow. Greg McCullough from Piffles Podcast is supposed to stop by. We'll have a little Eric Francis inside the NHL as the NHL trade deadline nears. Will there be moves tonight? We'll have to talk about them tomorrow. Also, we'll have our Indigenous Sports Athlete Showcase for Freeze Tallman Lumber tomorrow. And we will dip our toes into senior hockey with an abbreviated senior hockey report and a full one coming up on Thursday. Lots coming up tomorrow on the cage. Thank you for making time today. Thanks to Colson behind the board. We will talk to you again. We're on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKR.